Good morning, everyone. Talking about pride and humility today, continuing the series on 7 heavenly virtues and 7 deadly sins. I'm going to start with a quote by C.S. Lewis. A proud man is always looking down at things and people, and of course, as long as you are looking down, you cannot see something that is above you. This is something I personally struggled with as a kid, and I was prideful, so prideful, in fact, that I didn't listen to others. I was always arrogant when speaking to people. I did not consider their opinions. I always knew more. I was very proud of my intelligence. I was this really smart kid in school and around friends. And I was always loving to flaunt how smart I was. I was always trying to be intellectually superior to everyone else and always trying to one-up them. And this caused a lot of problems for me, of course. I don't think there's anything that people despise more than people who are extremely arrogant and prideful. And I would like to make a differentiation between a good, healthy pride, like a pride in your nation, a pride in your family, a pride in an accomplishment, and arrogance, an overblown pride that puts you above all others, puts yourself on a pedestal. That's the differentiation I would make between the two. So there's a healthy pride. There is a healthy way of going about it. But once it becomes overblown, it becomes a really big issue for you and those around you because nobody likes an arrogant person. Nobody likes to be around that kind of person. So, and I like to talk about the solutions to these things too, because there is being arrogant and there is being prideful. But how does one fix that if you are a very prideful person? I'll tell you, the two things for me was asking for help, being willing to do that, not spurning everyone else, and taking the time to listen to people, listen to their perspectives, and actually try and help them a little bit. That for me was how I learned humility, was learning to step down, learning to listen to people and see if you can help them or add to their, like I said, because I was a smart kid, so maybe helping them work their way through something a little bit instead of flaunting my intelligence and being like, oh, I know so much more than you, or I know this so much better than you do. Even if they hear you, they don't want to because of how you said it. And that will turn a lot of people off, even if you are right, even if you are correct. It will turn a lot of people off from you and your ideas, quite possibly. So it might damage them, and that you actually do have a good idea, but you're just expressing it in such an arrogant way, it might completely turn them off to the concept or to something that's good. That was how my pride manifested. So humility was being willing to listen and learn from other people, and asking for help when I needed it. That was so difficult for me. Was learning to ask for help. And, be willing to help others. It helps a lot because you will learn a lot more about other people, and it will help ground you. And that's very, very important, because pride puffs you up in a way so far above everybody else. And it makes you unable to think about other people or consider their feelings or their emotions or with their thinking, and that is extremely deadly. It's when you have that kind of puffed up arrogance, that pride, it's bad, not only because of how it affects other people, but also because you can't think properly. You're on a pedestal. You're so high above everybody else. You're looking down on the world, and you can't see things that are better than what you know. You can't see other people's personal wisdom, their perspectives, and it actually stunts you as a person because you can't learn from other people. You're so high above them all. And that's really bad for you in the long run if you hold on to this, because you will become somebody who can't grow, and you will become stifled by this pride. Another quote: "Pride is constantly overleaping itself. It tries to make itself out to be great, and in the act of doing so proves it to be little." So you are constantly overstepping your bounds so much because you are so prideful. You completely overestimate your abilities, and you will tackle things that are way beyond your capability of handling. And as it says, as you try to make yourself great, you will make yourself out to be a very little person. And one thing that I remember from growing up, and battling with this kind of overwhelming pride, was the fact that I was rarely aware of how arrogant I was. It was so alien to me. Like I was just that awesome. I was that great. And even when you had a failure, you were, of course, short-term humiliated, but it didn't really bother you that much in the long run. You just kept going. You just kept on charging through it. And that's a trap you have to be aware of, because it is extremely deadly, and it will cost you a lot in the long run doing that kind of thing. My last quote: "Pride is a sin readily seen in others, but is rarely admitted in ourselves." So this was something I was just brushing up on. It is so easy to recognize it in others, and it is very difficult to recognize it in ourselves. You'll have those little thoughts like, I'm so much better than that person. I'm so much better than so-and-so, or, you think you're above most people, and it can be very subtle at times. So that's a trap you need to be aware of in your head. Being humble, having a sense of humility, will ground you as a person. It will help you relate to other people. It will give you empathy for them, and it will help you be a better person. It is a very important trait to have. And again, having a pride in yourself, having a pride in your accomplishments, that's a good thing. But don't let it become overblown, and be humble. Don't overstate those achievements, because those can be really good achievements, but you can become really prideful of them. And they are a good thing, but it can turn into a bad thing if you become overly prideful of it. So it can be a very subtle thing, so watch yourself. This is a very debilitating, deadly sin. This is something that will destroy you. The Bible says, pride goes before a fall, and it is so true. You will either humble yourself, or you will be humbled. You will be humiliated in such a fashion that you will have a hard time recovering from it. Your ego will be blasted to pieces, and it can take a long time to recover from that. I can tell you that from personal experience. Be careful of it. It is when you're in a state of pridefulness like that, you're hardly aware of how arrogant you are. You might have little moments where you're like, I might have overdone that a little bit. But you don't really think about it because you're so high above everybody else. I was reading some G.K. Chesterton in the last week or two, and he was saying, this pride is often considered the most deadly of the 7 deadly sins. And he said, and G.K. Chesterton was writing in his book that it was so dangerous because, it puts you in the clouds. It puts you at the highest point of all creation. That's where you put yourself. You put yourself on such a high pedestal. But also because it, unlike some of the other ones, can not only be dominant in your life, you can be dominated by 2 or even 3 of the 7 deadly sins because from what I was reading, they don't all closely correlate with each other. They have some inconsistencies, and like pride and envy are kind of opposites. Pride, you're looking so much at yourself, and envy, you're looking at everyone else. But his word for it was that it was easy to become consumed by pride and by say sloth or sloth, whatever you call it. So you could be a pridefully lazy person, or you could be a proud slut, pride and lust. You could be very prideful and wrathful at the same time. And that was why he considered it the most dangerous of the 7 deadly sins, the worst of them all. Anyway, I hope that's given you a little perspective. I hope that I haven't just given you a problem to work on, but hopefully given you a little bit of a way to try and start solving it. If you are consumed by this, I know it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of retraining of your mind and how you think. But I'm gonna tell you this: you can beat it. And attaining virtue will and becoming a better person will give you a sense of healthy pride at the end of the day. It will give you a sense of peace and help you be able to make more friends and talk to people in a way that is a lot less ostracizing of others. So anyway, I hope that helps, and have a good day.